Welcome back to Definitely Not Definitive. I'm Ken.
And I'm Bethany.
And we're just a fantabulous couple in love that loves reacting to some Fallout.
I really do want to see that in a dictionary somewhere, fantabulous.
Yeah, it'll make it in there eventually.
One day.
And so we're checking out Fallout Storyteller series. This is season 3, episode 21 and 22. The Other Hub and Rebuilding America's Future. Yeah. All right. If you want all of our Fallout reactions, check out the description of this video. We got a playlist there for you.
Bucky was just...
And because it's Fallout.
We have a drink. And because Bucky's not in our laps right now, I can do this. So this is the Stim Pack Spritzer, because it has a Stim Pack. And you shoot the Stim Pack in.
Yeah.
Give it a little stir, you know. Just 'cause that's a good idea. And then you cheers.
Cheers. Yeah.
Looks like the killer
God,
we're chasing
person
just
hanging.
cut a path right to the Mississippi.
Edna wants to know if we're going to stop and help these people.
To be honest, I thought we were gonna be the ones dishing out all this pain on the Luddites.
So close. Yeah, okay. Let's see if the wounded will accept help from us infidels and our factory-made stim packs.
You are
Stim
a
packs.
good human. A good human.
Good human.
Uh-huh.
That's the last of the stim packs. Can't believe we're wasting our meds on the enemy. Have we forgotten the time they threatened to kill me?
When we're back on the road, we'll scrounge for more. We've lost a whole day here, and the android's going to be halfway to the...
Capital Wasteland. I know the place it's probably heading. You know, after the Chosen One found the Garden of Eden creation kit, they returned to Arroyo to find a scene a lot like this. The village shaman had a few final breaths to explain what had happened, even though he didn't have words for it. Giant dragonflies that spat fire, men in metal suits. Arroyo's warriors fought them, as well as spears and gecko hide could fight against plasma rifles.
Oh, damn.
The Enclave loaded the remaining villagers into vertibirds and flew south along California.
It's not the worst way to go, I guess. Just get like...
Few people knew that
vaporized.
the Enclave even existed there.
Hopefully it's really
And even
quick.
fewer
Yeah.
knew the locations of their bases. After a long drive down the coast from Oregon, the Chosen One discovered a gas station at a place once called Navarro. It was a dead end.
Seemed like a dead end? That was the Enclave's main refueling station for their vertibirds.
Yes, it was. The Enclave left one guard in a silly robe at this station. The actual base was hidden deep in the woods in an old Poseidon oil refinery, and most of it was underground. The guard's job was to chase away tribal looky-loos
Very animated.
and send anyone who seemed too curious down south on a wild goose chase.
Chosen One got fooled by the ruse, if I recall. Went on south down to Frisco.
San Francisco was one of the more enlightened cities in the wasteland. It had several organizations that were technologically advanced and knew of the Enclave's existence already, though none of them could challenge it. The Hubologists ran their operation out of the Golden Gate, but they were more concerned about building a spaceship than with fighting earthly enemies like the Enclave.
Spaceship? You gonna go on about aliens again?
Now that's
Maybe.
a story for another day, but the Hubologists believed in a
You fit it in the
different
episode.
kind of alien.
That's all I care about.
Made up ones from some pre-war science fiction writer who decided to create his own religion.
Still plenty of cults in the wasteland.
Cults can be encountered all over the wasteland, and before the war, things weren't that different. Dick Hubble made a living writing novels, and he figured that if you wanted to make real money, you gotta start a religion.
Oh, yeah.
Came up
The
with
couple
some
in
racket about using gadgets to realign neurodynes
Scientology.
and help enlightened people become the spokes in the great wheel of life. Of course, he was the fat spider at the heart of the web, the hub, an axis of the wheel, where all the money flowed. Religions from the back when times had a hard time after the war, but Hubology stuck it out for a good 160 years. They still use the same marketing techniques that worked on pre-war society, with a helping of abduction and brainwashing. When the Chosen One visited the Hubology compound in San Francisco, there were a couple of adult Holovid stars from New Reno there, shaking
Even the
hands
compound
and
kinda looked like
using
the
their
compound in Los
celebrity
Angeles for
status to
Scientology.
lure in lost souls from the wasteland.
I remember hearing people talk about Hubology when I was a kid. They had a brainwashing center in NCR back then, but I haven't heard much about them since the days of the Chosen One. They get their spaceship working and take off for planet Spacetopia?
They called it the USS Quetzal after their travel destination, but I always suspected the Hubologists met some unfortunate end.
Yeah.
Chosen One probably murdered them all.
The main power in San Francisco and enemies of the Hubologists were the Shi. In the back when times before the Great War, China sent their submarines to snoop around off the shores of America's coast. One submarine, the Shi Huang Ti, was patrolling the Pacific when the war began. Even out at sea, the devastation was great enough to damage the sub and set it adrift. It eventually washed ashore near San Francisco, and the crew used the salvaged equipment to build a base of operations. Over the generations, they maintained their exotic Eastern traditions and technological aptitude. One of the strangest was a peculiar form of unarmed combat handed down from master to student over the decades. When the Chosen One showed up in Chinatown, they had already earned a reputation as a prize fighter in New Reno. In Chinatown, this mastery of the sweet science was further refined by the local school of martial arts. The Chosen One used these skills to resolve a dispute between two factions of the Shi by challenging one of their masters in honorable combat. The Brotherhood of Steel had a small outpost there too, staffed by a brother named Matthew.
Armless brother?
He heard of the Chosen One's exploits and knew to look out for them. Matt was willing to take a chance on an outsider and asked the Chosen One to infiltrate the Navarro and steal the Enclave schematics for vertibirds. Everyone in San Francisco wanted those schematics. The Shi were intent on rebuilding civilization and needed aerial transportation. The Hubologists thought the plans would help them complete their spaceship or something, and the Brotherhood needed to counter the Enclave's tactical advantage. But that story we'll have to wait for another day.
Ooh, good cliffhanger. Want to just get right into it, or you got anything?
I kind of want to just get right into it.
Okay, let's get right into it.
Yeah.
Defilers, ye dare enter the kingdom of blood, unannounced.
And you must be Lud, if I'm not mistaken.
Son of a...
Shall address us as King Lud. Followers have been humbled in defeat, yet we are still a king.
You're a first-generation mutant, handcrafted by the Master himself.
This is Lud. I imagine it'd be shorter. A lot shorter.
I like that. Must be always say taller.
The blood of our subjects with medicines of the old times. A single day ago, these trespassers would have brought your death.
And what about today?
Today, we are broken.
Yeah.
Thrice we have seen horrors wrought by those bearing the cursed number 13. A century ago, the Master perished in fire kindled by the ones they call Vault Dweller. Though King Lud was not there, we felt it in our mind.
When the Master died, the first-generation super mutants were scattered. You were left leaderless.
Yes, 200 years
And it's like hiding behind him.
ago, we watched from Broken Hills as the setting sun was dwarfed by the Chosen One's retribution.
You know, he's got pretty eyes.
The
I'll say
Enclave.
that.
He does. He looks like a very
Since
pale ice blue.
the Chosen One rekindled the fires of the Great War, we We have walked the road that connects this river with the west. I taught those who would listen about the downfall of the old world. Factories spewed weapons, and men wielded power they did not forge themselves. The humans of the old world were fools! Did they make the bombs they unleashed? Cage the atoms? No. Understand the fire their hands did seize? No! We hammered the metal of this sword with our own hands. It is pure! Now, a machine wearing the face of the Vault Dweller lays waste to all we have built. Our knights disappeared on their patrols. Guards vanished from their posts. Then he came with dogs, coated in metal, abominations. The innocents were killed in their sleep.
Oh.
The robot with a
Go from
human
fearing him
brain,
to feeling sorry
the one
for him.
that killed your people. We're trying to catch it.
They say the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Will you help us?
What? The hammer?
Yeah.
What? The chain? In what furnace was thy brain? What? The anvil? What dread grasp? Dare its deadly terror's clasp? May ye die at the hands of this abomination, or it at yours. I care not.
I think he's done talking.
Yeah.
We've done all we can here. Let's not push our luck.
Think we'll run into more trouble on this side of the river?
Anything NCR Intel can tell us, Ranger?
Huh? Oh, sorry. I can't get what King Lud said out of my head. It sounded like the android we're chasing didn't just battle with the Luddites, it slaughtered them. But why? The android has killed before. I've seen the aftermath with my own eyes. But in the past, it's only killed to escape, to secure its own freedom. We
some
know
dude's
the
head off.
android had a Luddite disguise. Why not use it to pass through King Lud's territory undetected? Why the massacre?
I'll tell you why. Because that android you're talking about has the brain of the Vault Dweller inside it. The Chosen One has taught me anything. It's that some heroes just like killing.
You said it yourself, Ranger. The Vault Dweller was a powerful individual. And if history has taught us anything, it's that powerful individuals sometimes leave a trail of corpses in their wake.
And what about King Lud? All that poetry? Half of it sounded like it came out of pre-war books. Half just sounded crazy. Dwarfing the sunset?
He was talking about the defeat of the Enclave, a powerful force that's still leaving a trail of bodies today. The oil rig that the Enclave used had once been owned by Poseidon Oil back before the war. In those days, they pumped so much oil out of the ground that they needed huge
Why do you
boats the
think they have
size of
those,
a
like,
city to transport it.
Big ass.
One such tanker,
Faces
Poseidon
on
Marine
there.
Vessel Valdez, it was called, had
Company name
sat
was
in San
Poseidon.
Francisco's
Nothing to do with
harbor,
that.
rusting since the war. The Chosen One had to run all over the wasteland, locating gizmos and repair parts to make it run. Even had to infiltrate the Enclave base at Navarro to pilfer a few things. Got themselves a suit of power armor and marched around like a soldier. No one bat an eye. The Chosen One explored the Enclave oil rig and eventually located the holding cells. Trapped within were the people of the Chosen One's village, Arroyo, and their distant relations, the dwellers of Vault 13. The Enclave was using the villagers to test a modified form of the forced evolutionary virus. The same goo that turned King Lud into a green giant. This version had been altered by the Enclave's chemical core so that it killed anyone who came in contact with it. The people from Vault 13 were a control group of sorts, a gene pool that hadn't been contaminated by the impurities of the wasteland. This control group had similar results. While looking for a way to free these test subjects, the Chosen One discovered the true face of the Enclave, the inbred descendants of 6 generations of politicians, billionaires, corporate execs, the alleged president and vice president of the United States, and marketing directors. The president was helpful enough to explain that the Enclave intended to release their modified forced evolutionary virus into the atmosphere.
The only way for true humans and democracy to be safe is to cleanse the mutants from the globe. We humans will take back that which is rightfully ours.
The Enclave considered everyone outside their own little gene pool to be subhuman mutants.
Of course.
Their virus would have killed every human, ghoul, super mutant, everyone in the world, except for the Enclave members who had been inoculated by their experiment antidote.
Experimental?
Apparently, they were still working out the kinks right up to the last minute.
It's
The
probably something
vice
you want to
president
get
himself
right
volunteered
before
as a
you
test subject for the early trials of the antidote. Turned him into what some people called a drooling idiot. The vice president didn't make it off the oil rig, which was probably best for everyone.
Oh!
Did the other bad people survive?
No, very few people made out alive. The villagers and people from Vault 13 escaped, but when the Chosen One tried to return to the ship, somebody was there to greet them.
You've gotten a lot farther than you should have. But then you haven't met Frank Horgan either. Your ride's over, Mutie. Time to die.
Damn. Oh. I like that episode. I like the second one better than the first one. Because we kind of already heard a little bit more about the Scientology cult or whatever that was in here. I can't remember what they're called in this.
The herbologist?
Herbologist, I think there was. But I like the fact that, they started out, I know it was kind of like us, it starts out a little bit scared of the mutant. And I love the fact that he goes, oh, I thought you'd be shorter, a lot shorter. Because, usually when you see, that line comes out, it's like, I thought you'd be taller. Mm-hmm. So I like flipping that on its head. And yeah, end up being us and just, being afraid of the super mutant at first, but then feeling sorry for it.
The experimentation on people is just something that
happens a lot in Fallout.
Yes, happens a lot in Fallout, but always kind of sticks with me after the episode. Mm-hmm. Sort of the extreme loss of humanity that people have to achieve to be able to do that. Because you're not just inflicting pain on another, which is bad enough. That's terrible. Mm-hmm. But you're standing there and studying it. And to have the ability to be so clinically detached and to do that to another person, I think just hits me on such a disturbed level that it always sits with me a little bit after an episode.
Yeah.
And that shot of just all the bodies in sort of the experimentation box that they put them in. I'm sure there's a more technical term that I'm not getting, but that's just kind of in my brain a lot. And you do feel bad for the super mutant.
Yeah.
And it is interesting now to kind of see, again, the evolution of the Chosen One and where we're going with sort of that storyline. And of course, we've constantly had the back and forth of, are they good or are they bad? And where do they fall on this line? So to kind of see we've seen them do some good things and heard about some good things. And now we're going to hear about what kind of was more of the darker journey of their thing and that pairing with the android
really looking forward to seeing this. I mean, they built up this android a lot, so it'll be interesting when we finally meet him. So looking forward to that. Let us know what you thought about this down below in the comments, and if you want all of our Fallout reactions, check out the description of this video. We got a playlist there for you. Thanks so much for checking out our reaction for Fallout Season 3, episode 21 and 22. Just keep in mind
that our reaction is definitely not definitive.